Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. Our next guest has been making people laugh for years. Her newest special, Wanda Sykes, Not Normal, is currently on Netflix, and in it, she hilariously talks about Trump, race, parenting, aging, and so much more. Before we bring her out, let's take a look at Wanda Sykes, Not Normal.
Here we go. Black people, we don't even get our hands on opioids. They don't even give them to us. I had a double mastectomy. You know what they sent my black ass home with? Ibuprofen. White people get opioids like they Tic Tac. I'm at work and I'm like, damn, I got a headache. White people start pulling out all kind of pills and shit. Just fucking loose pills and Ziploc bags. Would you like an oxycodone? Oh, she should take a Percocet. Other girl over there is preparing a needle. Give me your arm. This shit is not normal. Boom, boom.
Everybody, please welcome the great Wanda Sykes.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Of all those great jokes that were in the clip, I laughed the hardest at you bashing a microphone into your head. I'm the dumbass on stage. Yeah. Wanda, how long have you been doing stand-up?
Since '87.
Since 1987?
Yeah.
So you've been doing it now for 23 years?
More than
33
that.
years.
30, yeah.
I missed 10 years there, didn't I?
Yep.
Can we just show the clip of the mic hitting the head again? I'll just go with that. What do you feel like you've learned as a stand-up comedian over the course of those 30 years? How does doing it right now, doing this special feel Netflix, how does that feel different over the course of your career?
It's more about just life experiences, you know? Like once you learn how to tell a joke, I think that's like the critical part of doing this job, that, you know, the timing and being able to construct a joke. The rest of it is from just life experiences, you know, and just gaining more confidence on stage and with who you are. And I think that's pretty much is what has changed as far as with the material for the stand-up.
How long do you think it took for you to know how to tell a joke?
I was able to do that right away, but it's just like what I was talking about. You know, like I think most comics, they start off by like, okay, this is, you know, I'm gonna go out here and just talk about things that I know, right? Know about. And then you get on stage and you do that, and it's like, okay, cool. And it went well for me the first time. I killed.
Really?
And then, yeah. You know,
Where was your first time?
It was at a radio station had a talent show. And Coors Light sponsored it, and comedy was a category. And I said, you know, I want to try it. First time on stage, and I did it. And
Had you had aspirations prior to that to do comedy? Like, was it bubbling up in your head that you could potentially do that?
I think so, yeah. And because like all through high school and in college, my friends was like, you should be on stage, man. You should, you know, get out there. You should be on stage. And teachers, they were all saying, yo, you're so funny. You should be on stage.
People used to tell that to me too, but it usually meant like not here.
Not
not
now.
in front of me.
But
like
yeah,
just
save it.
Whatever
save
this
it.
bullshit
right.
is, do it somewhere else.
And so I like I said, I went on stage and things went great. And then I started going into comedy clubs. And it's once I got into the comedy club, I saw that how things could go horribly wrong. You know, like I was like, man, you're really putting yourself out here, and people could not enjoy what you're trying to put out. You know, so that's when you get into your head and you say, well, I'm gonna do a great imitation of a comedian. So you start writing, yeah, like everybody did Jerry Seinfeld. You know, hey, have you ever noticed? You know, like I think one of my first jokes, whatever, was about the auto shade. Remember those things, the cardboard things with the sunglasses you put in your car? Yes, I was doing jokes about that. I mean, come on, you know, me, I'm doing jokes about.
I love Wanda Sykes, a young Wanda Sykes going into every show being like, I'm gonna be like Jerry Seinfeld tonight.
Yeah, right, exactly, and just, you know, and so you have to run. Well, I did like a few years of still writing good jokes, but just not comfortable as a comedian to put myself out there, you know. But once you get to that point, get past that point where you're like, okay, let me get back to talking about who I am and things that concern me. That's to me is when things clicked for me.
Do you remember that moment or around that time when it clicked for you? What it felt like? What was happening?
I guess it was. I was married at the time, and things weren't going well. and it was like,
it does statistically.
Yeah, and then that's like, okay, let's. And I think it was like then when I had a real problem in my life, yeah, and I think I just started talking about it, and then I was like, what the hell? Let's just this feels good. Let's stay with this.
Right, and you would say you sort of found your voice or found out how to talk about your personal life on stage.
Right, yeah.
So now we're with Not Normal, as you said, you've been doing stand-up for 30 some odd years now. How much went into this special? Like, were you touring beforehand? Were you working on this for about a year?
I would love to say, no, I just woke up one morning and, boom. No. But no, yeah, I toured with this for about 2.5 years.
2.5 years? Wow.
Yeah.
How has it changed over the course of that 2.5 years? And when you start a tour, have you been doing like small clubs before that,
Right.
and then you go on tour and it's fairly refined, or are you refining it over the course of the whole tour?
Over the course of the whole tour, yeah. I like to start off in a club because I can, do like 5 shows in between a Friday and a Saturday night. So I like to start off in the club and just I go up there with notebooks and just working things out, just running jokes, not even having a clue of what the special is going to be or what the hour is going to be, or because at that point you don't even know if it's going to be special enough to do a special. So I'm just working on the hour, and then when I'm at a place where I was like, yeah, I feel good about saying this on stage in a theater, and people, pay money to come see me. I think this is a solid hour, So then I tour with that, but all the while I'm touring, I'm still trying out new jokes and working on it. And then if I'm not playing a theater, then I would run into a club and do like 10, 15 minutes here and there, and just keep working on little sections until I had it together where I felt good about it. And then once I got the hour where I was like, ooh, this could be a special. Then it's like going back into the club, deconstructing some things, adding new things, and saying, what, this section here, this has nothing to do with the thematically of what I'm trying to put together. So I got all those really good material, toss that out, and just keep writing towards towards what the special is going to be.
Now, you said that if you're not playing in a theater, you'll pop into a club. Do you find that if you're prepping or going through a year where you're working towards a special, you don't really want to take a night off or 2 nights off? You need to keep.
No, I take nights off.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I have a family, so
Sure.
I have to. Yeah, so I take nights off. Yeah, and sometimes it's good to step away from it for a little bit, and then so you can go back into it with fresh eyes, and it's not just not rote where you're just on stage and just coming out. Yeah.
A good portion of this special, maybe the first 15 minutes or so, is dedicated to President Dipshit. And I'm curious, you said that you've been working on this for a year. A lot of it's very topical, very referential to the moment that it's really getting released. How did you get those jokes in there, or know that they would still be relevant considering he's making insane news by the minute?
Well, I knew it's not like he wasn't, was going to stop being a liar. I knew that was going to continue, right?
Right.
So what I did was instead of focusing on specific incidents or specific policy, it was more about us and how we're behaving and how we're not reacting, in my opinion, normally towards what's happened to what he's doing, So to me that's where I knew was the sweet spot.
You bring up one specific incident. I think a couple, but one specifically that I loved, and I don't think I'll ever get over it for the rest of my life, which was the toilet paper on the shoe as he walked up Air Force One, which to me just meant like nobody likes this man.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right?
Like, no one likes him. No one likes him. The people who are working with him, working around him, they can't stand him.
Almost have been
They
like,
can't
dude,
stand his ass.
let him go, let him go.
Yeah, I'm saying, it's like you would stop a stranger to get toilet paper off their shoe. I mean, right? I mean, I've ran people down at airports for like 10 or 12 gates. Like, oh, I'm almost missing my flight. Like, oh, I can't let this lady walk around with toilet paper on her shoe. I mean, track her down, get it off,
Or it's like the military personnel there to like maintain his safety. Like, go ahead, you piece of shit. Go ahead, climb those stairs.
Yeah, right.
Make sure you guys get a photo.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And on the way to Air Force One,
Let the people know who they voted
exactly.
for.
This is America. Your president with toilet paper on the shoe.
How have the last couple of years been for you watching this craziness? How do you keep a little bit of peace within yourself?
It's scary. It really is. It's scary. Hey, I'm a woman, a black, lesbian. I mean, that's three, fronts right there that I'm being hit on. And so it's I keep thinking, and actually it's affirmed when I go to different cities and I perform. And I see that there's people who feel the same way that I do. And it's like, okay, so we're still in the majority, right? But the thing is, we're in the majority, but we're so fucking nice. We're so polite and nice and like, well, you shouldn't do that. That's not, well, okay, well, hey, I'm gonna make a petition.
We're gonna bring civility back to government. What?
Exactly. And I don't know. It's scary. It really is, because how we got into this situation with the Russian hacking of the election, there really hasn't been anything in place to prevent it from happening again.
And he seems fairly
very
confident.
happy with that.
He seems fairly confident that he's going to win, even though his polling is like very, very low among independents and even some Republicans. I don't know why the Republicans are so confident that they're going to win.
Right.
I mean, I get they got a lot of the dark money coming in, but I'm worried that they're just like, oh, don't worry, we're gonna.
We got it. We got this on lock. Yeah.
A couple days ago, I believe, or maybe it was yesterday or the day before, he wished a happy Pride Month to the LGBTQ community. And people came to his defense saying, "Why are you getting so upset? He's done so much to defend the community." And I was like, "What are you?
What?
I don't know what he's done, but what did you think about that?"
It's full of shit. I mean, it's like he doesn't have a sincere bone in his body. It's just he's such a phony.
Did you ever meet him before the days of him becoming president or running? You never met him like on the.
Thank God, no.
He appeared in random places. I feel any talk show that would have him on, he would kind of appear on for a while. But you never had to rub elbows with that man.
No,
good for you.
I would chop my elbows off. I would be walking around with no elbows.
That's a bad elbow. We got to get rid of that.
Yeah, right.
Have you found, though, that you have to... Something that I've found during this is it drives me insane, and I yell at the computer or the phone or the TV screen, but I have to kind of find ways to withhold and kind of have some sort of peace within myself. How do you do that? Do you?
I do, and honestly, I mean, I believe in God, so I pray. I do. I pray. I just have. Sometimes I go, God, okay, I'm gonna turn this one over to you right now, because I just can't. Sometimes you can't. I just have to turn it off, and and just chill out with my kids and my wife, and just try to have a good day and not think about it, because it really it's just all consuming sometimes, where it's just too much. It's just too much.
Do you have conservative friends or Republican friends at all that you ever have conversations with about Donald Trump, or they partially support him or support him as entirely?
I do, and honestly, I don't talk to them anymore.
Really?
I can't.
Good for you.
I can't. I can't, because you can't tell me that, oh, well, because when you ask like, well, why? What is it? They really don't have any solid answers. It's like, well, he's making government small. It's like, no, he's not. It's not making government small. Well, he's good for taxes are low. No, he has not. Your return, did it get bigger or smaller this year?
The majority of people, with the exception of massive corporations,
Exactly.
paid more money.
Are paying more money. I've had friends who are like crying, like last year I got money back, this year I owe like $3,000. I don't know what happened. It's like Trump happened. That's what happened. And that tax cut, like you said, it was for the super rich.
We all paid more money so that they could have more money rather than paying more money into any sort of social system that could help us.
And I know it was for the super rich because I did not enjoy any of the tax cuts.
And you're not poor.
Yeah, exactly. And I have some money. My business manager actually said to me, he's like, boy, it's a shame you don't own a plane.
That's right. There were tax cuts on private jets.
Yeah, I called him the N-word, and he's a nice little Jewish man. I was like, this is crazy.
How old are your children?
They're 10.
They're 10. Do they ask questions yet about what's going on in the world, or hear you and your wife talking about it and ask questions that you have to explain?
Well, during the election in 2016, they were both, they wanted to stay up to watch. They wanted to watch the results. And we said,
Good for them. I took pills and went to bed.
Smart. So we let them stay up for a little bit, and then around like 9 o'clock, I was like, y'all should go to bed. Go to bed. Something's not right. Go to bed. And
they're not going to want to see mommy in a few minutes.
Right. And when they found out the next morning that what happened, that Trump won, my daughter said to me, she goes, Mommy Boo. That's what they call me, Mommy Boo. They said, Mommy Boo, my friend at school told me that if Trump won, that you and people who look like you would have to leave the country. And I said, no, sweetheart, that's not true. We're gonna be okay. That's not true. And she goes, well, that's what my friend said. And I said, well, your friend is wrong. That's not true. And then I thought about it a little later. I thought about it. I was like, well, damn, she said you would have to leave the country. She didn't say we, so she'd already made up in her mind, I'm staying, And I was like, what kind of shit is that? Like, it was just sending me off. Like,
if you leave, Mom, who's going to make me my sandwiches for lunch?
Like, you might have to leave. I'm like, okay.
I'm curious, part of so much of your stand-up isn't just about Trump and about politics right now. It's about your family, and it's about raising 2 kids. How do you decide what to put in about them and what not to put in about them? Is it just natural and instinct?
It is. It's instinct, and I do think about it a lot. I'm like, okay, when they get older and they see this, will they still push me around in my wheelchair or change my diapers? Or will they hate me? So I do take that into consideration. But yeah, I'm not mean-spirited, and I am totally aware of them, and they're my world. So I don't want to put anything out there to where it's going to embarrass them or upset them later on. Yeah.
You said that they're your world. What did that feel like when you realized that you had that world?
Well, I didn't want kids at one time. I hadn't even thought about having kids. But when I met my wife, and that was her thing. She's like, I want kids, and I'm gonna have kids, and I said, okay, well, I need a minute to think about it. And then as our relationship grew, I just switched. I was like, of course. Why wouldn't I want to have a family with this, with this person? So, and I'm so happy I did, yeah.
Another thing that you talk about in the special is you talk about aging a fair amount, and you especially talk about aging as a woman, and you talk about estrogen and everything. And I'm wondering if that is something that feels new as a female comic that you can do. Not that would be censored at all 10 years ago, but that that there is an audience that is actually hungry to hear stories like that. And there's no male executive or male manager being like, nobody cares about that stuff.
Right, exactly. It's like for female comics, mean, I know that there's been other comics who've like touched on it, like maybe talk about a hot flash, whatever. But when you're really experiencing it, there's nothing out there for us. Like people really don't talk about it. They try to keep it hush hush. But me, hey, I came out here with a fan, because if I get a hot flash, it's I mean, it really feels like someone just sets you on fire. And I know there's so many women who are going through it. So to me, I just felt like it was important to share and to let them know you're not crazy, because that's actually how they're now treating women. Like with for women going through menopause and they can't take estrogen, like in my case because of the breast cancer I had, the new treatment is they're giving them like very low doses of like an antipsychotic. So basically they're saying you bitches are crazy. Yes. That's pretty much how they're treating us. So it's like even science aren't really experimenting and finding something to help us with this.
Well, that's because I think so much of what women go through with their bodies, it's a horrible phrase. It sounds so awful to put it that way, both with menstrual cycle and with menopause, is something that has been so culturally stigmatized and nobody can really talk about it. I think so often men are afraid to talk about it because they don't want to, even sensitive men are afraid to talk about it because they're afraid of sort of being pejorative in any way or minimizing or trivializing it, or they're afraid that they're going to get yelled at or say it wrong. And then women have been told not to talk about it for so long because it was deemed gross, which is awful. So there's really no language built into the culture for both men and women to have frank conversations about how women feel physically and emotionally when it comes to these times in their life.
Right.
I don't have a question. That's just how I feel about it.
And
Sorry.
I appreciated everything you just said.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I'm much nicer on the stage than in my personal. I'm like, you are crazy. What is wrong? We have time for a couple questions from the audience. Who has a question? Right here.
Hi, Wanda.
Hello.
We wanted to ask you how it was working with Larry David, and did he learn things from you? Did you learn things from him? How was the overall experience?
It was great. It was great working with Larry David. The show is pretty much improv, and so it was fun using that, exercising that improv muscle. I learned from him that I can make him laugh easily.
Notoriously tough, I've heard.
I would just shoot him a look and he would just crack up. He was like, wait a minute. And from him, he's just such a brilliant mind and just so funny. But also I just felt like I was cheated because he wrote all these great scripts for Seinfeld, and then when I get to work with him, he's like, you make it up. Like, what the hell is that? Like, write something, you lazy bastard. What are you doing?
Did you say that to him?
Yeah, of course.
Next question.
Wanda, thanks so much for being here today. I've been a fan since your work on Chris Rock Show and Pootie Tang. It's so cool to see your career growing and diversifying all the time. Can't wait to see the special. I want to ask, you have such a distinctive speaking voice, and you've used it on shows like Futurama, The Simpsons, and Ice Age, and Ugly Dolls. What is your experience like in the vocal booth, versus on stage or in front of a camera?
Wow, in the booth. It's really having to rely on the director, because we don't see what's happening. We don't, so they have to describe the scene for us and really set it up. So that way, when you're doing your lines, it feels like you're actually acting. You're, giving that voice to that character. So it helped me to, learn how to listen. As far as the, just picturing what's going on. But when you're doing live action, you have the other actors and everything to play off of, which I enjoy, but the animation stuff is really cool. But I do have a lot of respect for the directors, because it's a lot of it really does rely on them.
Would you say stand-up is your first love?
Oh, absolutely.
You would never. What's the longest break you've ever taken?
Probably was when I was doing my sitcom. So maybe like a year and a half or something, I think.
What does that feel like when you take that much time away from stand-up?
Kind of feels like you're not funny. Yeah. Or just so you're just removed, and you worry that, man, when I go back out, am I going to be funny? And it's like terrifying the first time back on stage after you take a long break.
Did you bomb your first time back on stage?
I didn't bomb, but I was, I probably did some really cheap, shitty jokes.
Just to get
just to
get
shake
some
the dust off.
confidence
Yeah,
booster?
shake the rust off. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those weird things that when you take a break from whatever the passion that you have is, going back to it always feels really daunting, even though, even if you fail at it, when you go back to it, that feels better than not doing it completely.
Right.
Yeah. One more question.
The special's amazing. I
Thank
watched it the
you.
other night. I saw you in a production of Annie, the musical, playing Miss Hannigan in Pennsylvania, I think it was. Any plans on doing Broadway or theater or something? Because you're really good live. I mean,
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you. You know what? If the right role in the production, popped up, I would definitely consider it. Yeah.
you could sing and you can make them laugh.
Thank you. I sing speak. Yeah.
You do it well.
Thank you.
You're also a TV writer as well, and you've been the head writer on shows. Are you writing anything right now, or post special? Are you going to be working on any shows or writing on anything?
Been doing a bit of producing too through my production company, Push It. Actually, we produced my special. We have Tiffany Haddish's special. We produced that. That'll be out, I think, in August. And we did 6 half hours for Tiffany. She picked like 6 comedians, six comedians. Yeah, she picked them, and we shot those half hours. And I am writing something right now. But I don't think I can talk about it yet.
Fair.
But yeah, okay.
Fair. Yeah. Wanda, I've always loved your work. It's so nice to talk to you. It was so
Thank
nice
you.
to watch Not Normal. It's currently on Netflix. Wanda Sykes, everybody. Let's hear it.
Thank you.